Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome to section 2. In section 2 we're going to be starting diacritical marks, and this is lesson 1, specifically movements, also called harakat. And the three movements and three movement marks that we're going to discuss today are going to be the Damaa, the Fatha, the Kasra. So let's get started. On the agenda today, we're going to do a quick review of the previous lesson, what we learned in the previous lesson. Then we're going to do our warm-ups as we do usually. Then I'm going to get into the details of the long vowels versus short vowels and how those two are differentiated. We're going to get into some instructionals on the Dhamma, the Fatha, and the Kasra, and how those are differentiated, how those are written. I'm going to give you a quick introduction to the spelling, or the concept of spelling in Arabic, also known as al-hijja, to how to spell something out in Arabic, and give you some details on how you can start to combine movements, marks, and letters that you're starting to recognize already, and turn those into words. And finally, we're going to end with some exercises. So that is our agenda today. So let's get started. Okay, review of the previous lesson. If you remember, we spoke a little bit in the previous lesson about Arabic script versus Latin script. The Arabic script, the direction is from right to left, whereas in Latin script, the direction is left to right. In the Arabic script, the letters are in 4 forms, whereas in Latin script, the letters are only in 1 form. And the 4 forms the letters in the Arabic script can take are initial, medial, final, and isolated. Those are the 4 forms. And then we talked about all the letters in their 4 forms. We talked about the initial, medial, final, and isolated forms of all 4 letters. So I'll quickly go over the exercise 8 that I provided with the last lesson. I'll just quickly review that. This is the alif/hamza in its isolated initial, medial, final form. And remember, we talked about how certain letters, so in this case, this letter, it's an isolated initial, which is the hamza, and its medial and final forms are identical to one another. But this is a letter ba, and this is one of those letters in which all 4 forms look different from each other. So that its isolated initial, medial, and final forms look different from one another. And those are the 2 major types of letters when it comes to forms. The 2 letters are going to be either similar in isolated initial, medial, and final forms, though isolated and initial would be similar, and medial and final are going to be similar, or the 2 are going to be different. So we talked about, by the way, alif, ba, ta, tha, jim, ha, kha, dal, zal, ra, za, sin, shin, sad, dad, ta, va, ain, ghain, fa, qaf, kaf, lam, mim, nun, ha, wa, ya. And then we talked about 2 exceptions to the rule. We talked about the ta marbuta. The ta marbuta looks kind of like a ha with 2 dots on it. And when it when a word ends in it and basically you break your breath, it sounds like a ha. But if you don't break your breath, it sounds like a ta, and it's called a ta marbuta. The other one that we spoke about, the exception that we spoke about, that we're going to go into detail a little bit later on, not in this lesson, is the alif maqsura. And the alif maqsura, which looks like a ya but is pronounced like an alif. It is written at the end of a word, and even though it looks like a ya, it's pronounced like an alif. For example, the letter Musa, the word Musa, the word Isa, the ya is at the end, and even though it's a ya, we don't say Isi, we say Isa, and that is an exception to the rule. So that's what we spoke about in the last lesson. So again, go ahead, please watch the warm-ups video. Don't skip. Those warm-ups are important. If you've been doing your warm-ups, you should be down to about 2 minutes to maybe 3 minutes. That's how quickly you should be able to do your warm-ups now. So please go watch those warm-ups. Don't skip. Okay, on the instructional today. Today, the first short vowel we're going to talk about is the vowel called the Fatha. It is a diagonal mark or diagonal line that appears above letters to indicate a short a sound, so a sound. And we have to contrast this short vowel with the long vowel alif. And that long vowel alif denotes the double a sound, or the a sound, the a sound. So a letter with a fatha, when So I'll give you some examples of the differentiation between the short vowel and long vowels later. And there will be an entire lesson, a separate lesson between for the long vowels, the alif, the ya, and the wa. There will be a separate lesson for that one. That'll be upcoming. Also, whenever a letter has a fatha on it, this small diagonal line that appears above the letter, whenever it has a fatha on it, the letter is called maftuha. So, and as an example I have given you here is the word kataba. Kataba, which means to write. And kataba, the kaf has a fatha on it, the ta has a fatha on it, and the ba has a fatha on it. So we say kaf maftuha, ka, ta maftuha, ta, ba maftuha, ba, kataba. Okay, so whenever a letter has a fatha on it in the Arabic language, it's called maftuha. For the purposes of this exercise, I will later on go into the different all the letters and how they look or what the diacritical marks, the three diacritical marks look, and that will be a little bit later on in this lesson. Next we have the short vowel Dhamma. The short vowel Dhamma is a small curly letter, or it's a curl-like letter. It's a diacritic that is placed above a letter, and it represents the short U sound or the short O sound. It sounds like O, 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 O. You have to contrast this short vowel, which is the Dhamma, with the long vowel Wa. And the long vowel Wa denotes the long sound Oo. It denotes the long sound Oo. It's slightly lengthier than the Dhamma. And this is something that is the same with the Dhamma, the Fatha, the Kasra. The Dhamma, the Fatha, the Kasra, it's a slight movement. It's just Whereas in the long marks, you will notice, I will differentiate a little bit later on how you can differentiate those two. Whereas in the Dhamma, it's the short U sound or the short O sound. The Wa, which is the long vowel, is the long Oo sound, the double O sound. So when a letter has a Dhamma on it, whenever a Dhamma is placed on a letter, the letter is called Madmuma. So for example, I have this word. The word is kutub. Kutub. The example word that you see on your screen is kutub. So, oh, by the way, I don't know if I did it in the previous one. This little diacritic, this little mark right here, where my mouse is pointing. In the previous one, I think I forgot to point it out. But this little diacritic above the kaf, this little thing, this is a fatha. So right now we're talking about the Dhamma. This curly looking diacritic, this curly looking mark right here, this curly looking mark is called, and whenever it's placed above a letter, is called a Dhamma. So in this example, the word is kutub. Kutub. So this is a kaf, and this is a ta, and this is a ba. The kaf has a Dhamma on it, and the ta has a Dhamma on it, but the ba does not. The ba has a sukoon on it, and we'll go into that diacritic later and what that means. But in this one, I haven't written the sukoon for the specific reason. I just wanted to give you an example of what the Dhamma looks like. So the way that we're going to say this is kaf madmuma ku, ta madmuma tu, ba maskuna ba, kutub, 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 kutub. This is the word kutub. So just to remember that, whenever a letter has a Dhamma on it, it is called madmuma. The third short vowel that we're going to talk about today is known as the Kasra, and it is a short diagonal line that is placed below a letter. It looks very similar to the Fatha, but the Kasra always occurs below a letter. It always occurs below a letter, and whenever it's placed, it refers to the short I sound, the short E sound, the short I sound, not the E, but most specifically, most probably closest to the short I sound in the English language. You have to contrast the short vowel, the kasra, with the long vowel ya. And the long vowel ya, whenever it's connected to a consonant, it denotes the long E sound, the double E sound, E. Okay? And whenever a letter has a kasra below it, the letter is called maksura. Maksura. So, an example that I've provided here is the letter min. The letter min. And this meme has this little diacritic that you see right here, this little mark right there, that's known as a kasra. So, this word is meme maksura, noon maskuna, min. This is maksura, meme maksura. That means it has a kasra on it, or kasra below it, not on it, below it. Kasra always occurs below a letter. So those are the three short vowels that we're going to discuss and present to you in detail today. The Fatha, the Dhamma, the Kasra. Okay. Next I wanted to show you a grid of what it looks like, what the 28 letters in the Arabic language look like when the diacritics are placed on them. So the way that I have it broken down is that the first column denotes the name of the letter. The second column denotes what the letter looks like when that diacritic is placed on it. So remember, we just talked about just a second ago, when a dhamma is placed on it, the letter becomes a what? Is a madmuma. So this column right here is the madmuma column. All the letters in this column are going to appear with a dhamma on it. All the letters in this column are going to appear with a what, because it's a maksura column. The maksura column are going to have all the letters in the Arabic language with a kasra below it. And this is the maftuha column. Maftuha column means, just a second ago we talked about, all the letters in this column are going to have the fatha on it. So I'm going to go through all these. I'm going to go through all these one by one. But first, I'm going to do it in two methods. The two methods that I'm going to do it is that I'm going to first go row by row. So I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to do it in a row format first, and then the second row, and then the third row, and then the fourth row, all the way down to all 28 rows. And then the way I'm going to do it, again, I'm going to come back to this exact same thing, but I'm going to do it by column. So I'm going to do 28 maftuha letters in the column format, and then I'm going to do 28 maksura letters in the column, and then I'm going to do all 28 madmuma letters and what they sound like in the column. So let's get started. And I want you to try to, I'm going to give you a short pause after every one of these, and I want you to try to imitate me. Okay? So this is the letter Hamza, and because Arabic begins and is written right to left, so we're going to go right to left, not left to right, because we're learning Arabic, not English. So we're going to go right to left. So this is the letter Hamza, and it intersects with the maftuha column. Hamza maftuha a. And this is the intersection of the Hamza and the maksura column. This is Hamza maksura. And this is the Hamza madmuma. This is the intersection of the Hamza row and the madmuma column. So Hamza madmuma, this is Hamza with a dhamma on it. This is Hamza with a kasra below it. And this is Hamza with a fatha above it. So this is how we're going to do it. Hamza maftuha a. Hamza maskura I. Hamza madmuma u. A, I, u. Did you catch that? I'll do it one more time. Hamza, because we're doing the first column. Hamza maftuha a. Hamza maksura I. Hamza madmuma u. A, I, u. This is the sound of the three diacritics / short marks. So when you place a fatha on it, it's the short a sound. When you place a kasra below it, it's the short I sound. When you place a dhamma on it, when it becomes a madmuma, it's the short U or the short O sound, U. Okay, so one more time, just the hamza, because I'm doing this multiple times because for the rest of them, I'm not going to do it in this much detail. So we have hamza maftuha a, hamza maksura I, hamza madmuma u, a, I, u, a, I, u. Okay, so next I'm going to do it for the letter ba. This is the intersection of the letter ba and the column maftuha. So we're going to start it like this. Ba maftuha ba, ba maksura bi, ba madmuma bu, ba, bi, bu, ba, bi, bu. One more time. Ba maftuha ba, ba maksura bi, ba madmuma bu, ba, bi, bu. Next we have the letter ta. Ta maftuhata, ta maksurati, ta madmumatu, ta, ti, tu, ta, ti, tu, ta, ti, tu. The next letter is tha. Tha maftuha tha, tha maksura thi, tha madmuma thu, tha, thi, thu, tha, thi, thu, tha, thi, thu. Next we have the letter Jim. This is the letter Jim and this is the intersection, so we start from right to left. Jim maftuha ja, Jim maksura ji, Jim madmuma ju, ja, ji, ju, ja, ji, ju. Next we have the letter ha. Ha maftuha ha, ha maksura hi, ha madmuma hu, ha, hi, hu, ha, hi, hu, ha, hi, hu. Next we have the letter kha. Kha maftuha kha, kha maksura khi, kha madmuma khu, kha, khi, khu, kha, khi, khu, kha, khi, khu. Next we have the letter dal. Dal maftuha da, da maksura di, da madmuma du, da, di, du, da, di, du, da, di, du. Next we have the letter ذال. ذال مفتوحة ذا، ذال مكسورة ذي، ذال مضمومة ذو، ذا ذي ذو. I think I messed up on the last one, so I'll do that again. ذال مفتوحة ذا، ذال مكسورة ذي، ذال مضمومة ذو، ذا ذي ذو، ذا ذي ذو، ذا ذي ذو. Next we have the letter را. را مفتوحة را، را مسكورة ري، را مضمومة رو، را ري رو، را ري رو، را ري رو، را ري رو. Next we have the letter ز. ز مفتوحة ز، ز مكسورة زي، ز مضمومة زو، ز زي زو، ز زي زو، ز زي زو، ز زي زو. Next we have the letter سين. سين مفتوحة س، سين مكسورة سي، سين مضمومة سو، س سي سو، س سي سو، س سي سو، س سي سو. Next we have the letter Shin. This is the Shin مفتوحة. So Shin مفتوحة ش. Shin مكسورة شي. Shin مضمومة شو. ش شي شو. ش شي شو. ش شي شو. ش شي شو. Next we have the letter Sad. We have the letter صاد. صاد مفتوحة ص. صاد مكسورة صي. صاد مضمومة صو. ص صي صو. ص صي صو. ص صي صو. ص صي صو. Next we have the letter ضاد. ضاد مفتوحة ض. ضاد مكسورة ضي. ضاد مضمومة ضو. ض ضي ضو. ض ضي ضو. ض ضي ضو. ض ضي ضو. Next we have the letter ض. This is the letter ض مفتوحة ض. ض مكسورة طي. ض مضمومة طو. ض طي طو. ض طي طو. ض طي طو. ض طي طو. Okay. Next we have the letter ظ. This is the letter ظ. ظ مفتوحة ظ. ظ مكسورة ظي. ظ مضمومة ظو. ظ ظي 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 ظو. Next we have the letter عين. عين مفتوحة. Oh, sorry, I lost my mouse. There we go. عين مفتوحة ع. عين مكسورة عي. عين مضمومة عو. ع عي عو. ع عي عو. ع عي عو. ع عي عو. Next we have the letter غين. This is the letter غين. غين مفتوحة غ. غين مكسورة غي. غين مضمومة غو. غ غي 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 غو. Next we have the letter ف. This is the letter ف. ف مفتوحة ف. ف مكسورة في. ف مضمومة فو. ف في 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 فو. Next we have the letter قاف. The letter is قاف. قاف مفتوحة ق. قاف مكسورة قي. قاف مضمومة قو. ق قي قو. ق قي قو. ق قي قو. ق قي قو. Next we have the letter كاف. The letter is كاف. كاف مفتوحة ك. كاف مكسورة كي. كاف مكسورة كو. ك كي كو. ك كي كو ك كي كو ك كي كو. Next we have the letter لام. لام مفتوحة له، لام مكسورة لي، لام مدمومة لو. لا لي لو، لا لي لو، لا لي لو، لا لي لو. Next we have the letter ميم. ميم مفتوحة ما، ميم مكسورة مي، ميم مضمومة مو. ما مي مو، ما مي مو، ما مي مو، ما مي مو. Next we have the letter نون. نون مفتوحة ن، نون مكسورة ني، نون مضمومة نو. ن ني نو، ن ني نو، ن ني نو. Next we have the letter ها. ها مفتوحة ها، ها مكسورة هي، ها مضمومة هو. ها هي هو، ها هي هو، ها هي هو، ها هي هو. و مفتوحة و مكسورة وي، و مضمومة و. و وي و، و وي و، و وي و، و وي و. Next we have the letter يا, which is the final letter. يا مفتوحة يا مكسورة يا مضمومة يو. يا يو، يا يو، يا يو، يا يو. So I'm hoping you're starting to at least understand how the sounds of the letters change when you put these diacritics on them. The short vowels. The fatha, when you place a fatha on it, it becomes a letter is called maftuha. When you place a kasra below it, it becomes a maksura. And when you play a dhamma on top of it, the letter becomes madmuma. And when fatha is placed on it, you make a short a sound. When you place a kasra below it, you make a short e sound, or the short I sound. And when you place a dhamma on top of it, you make the short u, or the short o sound, u. So I hope you're starting to understand. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the top, but this time I'm just going to go column by column. Just a second ago, we did all the letters, but we did all letters in the three formats, maksura, maftuha, maksura, madmuma, but we did it row by row. We did it row by row. But this time I'm going to show you what it sounds like column by column. So I'm going to start with the maftuha column. So let's start. Hamza maftuha a, ba maftuha ba, ta maftuha ta, tha maftuha tha. جيم مفتوحة جا، حا مفتوحة ح، خا مفتوحة خ، دال مفتوحة دا. زال مفتوحة ذا، را مفتوحة را، زا مفتوحة زا، سين مفتوحة سا. شين مفتوحة شا، صاد مفتوحة صا، ضاد مفتوحة ضا، طا مفتوحة طا. ضاد مفتوحة ض عين مفتوحة عين I'm sorry not عين عين مفتوحة ع عين مفتوحة ع غين مفتوحة غ غين مفتوحة غ فا مفتوحة فا قاف مفتوحة ق كاف مفتوحة ك لام مفتوحة ل ميم مفتوحة ما نون مفتوحة ن ها مفتوحة ه و مفتوحة و يا مفتوحة يا. Let's go back up top and do the مكسورة column next. همزة مكسورة إي با مكسورة بي تا مكسورة تي ثا مكسورة ثي جيم مكسورة جي حا مكسورة حي خا مكسورة خي دال مكسورة دي ذال مكسورة ذال مكسورة ذي را مكسورة ري زا مكسورة زي سين مكسورة سي شين مكسورة شي صاد مكسورة صي ضاد مكسورة ضي طا مكسورة طي ظا مكسورة ضي عين مكسورة عي غين مكسورة غي فا مكسورة في قاف مكسورة قي كاف مكسورة كي لام مكسورة لي ميم مكسورة مي نون مكسورة ني ها مكسورة هي و مكسورة وي يا مكسورة يي. Okay, let's go up top and start with the مضمومة column again. And this is going to be the last column we do. همزة مضمومة أو همزة مضمومة أو با مضمومة بو تا مضمومة تو ثا مضمومة سو. Sorry, not su, ثو ثا مضمومة ثو. Where's my mouse? ثا مضمومة ثو ثو. Next we have جيم جيم مضمومة جو حا مضمومة حو خا مضمومة خو دال مضمومة دو. ذال مضمومة ذو را مضمومة رو زا مضمومة زو سين مضمومة سو. شين مضمومة شو صاد مضمومة صو ضاد مضمومة ضو طا مضمومة طو. ظا مضمومة ضو عين مضمومة عو غين مضمومة عو غو not عو غو this is غو غين مضمومة غو فا مضمومة فو. قاف مضمومة قو كاف مضمومة كو لام مضمومة لو ميم مضمومة مو نون مضمومة مو نو not مو نو. This is again I made a slight mistake here. نون مضمومة نو نون مضمومة نو ها مضمومة هو ها مضمومة هو و مضمومة يو. Oh my god, I'm doing this too much. I think my eyes are starting to burn. This is و مضمومة وو و مضمومة is وو و مضمومة is وو يا مضمومة is you يا مضمومة is you. So even though I've done this quite a bit and I've been doing this for a while, notice even I made a little bit somewhat of some mistakes here or there. You should do this and first in row format just like I did and then in column format just like I did and repeat it. Go rewind the video, just repeat it again and again, and you will start to know the the sounds of the three vowels, the three diacritical marks that we are learning today. Okay, Another thing that I would like to differentiate is when I was teaching ESL, I taught ESL once, and one thing that I noticed that a lot of non-native English speakers have a lot of trouble with the I sound versus the double E sound. So this is an example of a short vowel versus the short long vowel problem. What I mean by that is on the left hand side you can think of it as the short vowel, which is the I, and on the right hand side you can think of the long vowel, which is the double E sound, E sound. So the words are, number one, bit, beat, bit, beat. But non-native speakers of English, he beat his teeth, he beat his meat. I mean, they have trouble differentiating the I versus the double E specifically, and when these sounds are made. So this is bit versus beat, hit versus heat, sit versus seat, fit, feet, knit, neat, rid, read. So you will start to notice the quick movement, the I versus the E, the I versus the E, the I versus the E, fit, feet, knit, neat, rid, read. So the short vowels that we learned today, the Damaa, the Fatha, the Kasrah, are all short. They're just movements. They're much closer in emphasis as this I. You just say bit. You don't say beat. This is the word is bit. The word is bit, not beat. That's a different word. On the right hand side, that's a different word. This word is the word bit. This is hit. This is sit. So all the movements that we learned today, the woo, ba, bi, boo, ta, ti, tu, tha, thi, thu, these are closer to just the quick movement. I, oo, I, oo, I. They're not e, oo, e. This, that, you don't elongate the sound. That's a different lesson. Those are long vowels. We'll get into that later. But today, all we learned about were the short vowels. So next I will show you the same thing in Arabic. But the thing is, the words on the right hand side, the words that I've written on the right hand side aren't real words. But what I have done is I have written actual words on the left hand side with long vowels, and I've written fake words on the right hand side with a short vowel, and I'm going to pronounce to you the difference between the two. Now, remember just a second ago, I had you differentiate the Damaa with which long vowel? With the long vowel wa. This is the wa. So in this word, this fictional word that I have right here, then I have placed a Damaa on top of the noon, and I have attached it to the ha. But in this one, I have attached a long vowel wa to the letter noon, and I'm going to pronounce the difference for you. With a short vowel, it's pronounced nuh. The pronunciation is nuh. But if you were to replace that Damaa with the long vowel wa, it will be pronounced nuh. Nuh versus nuh. Nuh versus nuh. Notice, just like this previous example, bit, beat, hit, heat, sit, seat. Just like that, I replaced the short vowel, the Damaa, with the long vowel, and the sound changes. The sound changes from just a small movement to a double or longer movement. So this is nuh, 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 nuh. Okay? Next, I've created an example of the short vowel. This is which one we just discussed a second ago. This is a Fatha. I have placed a short vowel, the Fatha, on the letter Dhal. But in this word, the next one, I have replaced it with the letter Alif. So the equivalent of the short vowel, Fatha, the longer vowel, its longer vowel cousin is the letter alif. So this word, if it was a word, it's not, but the one on the left is a real word. But if this word was to be written with a short vowel, the fatha, it would be dhalik. Dhalik. But when written with the long vowel, the alif, the word becomes dhalik. Dhalik. This is dhalik. If it was to be written with a fatha instead of an alif, it would be dhalik. This is dhalik. 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 So the difference between the fatha and the alif is just the a versus the a versus the a. Dhalik versus dhalik. Dhalik, dhalik. So just like beat examples that we did in English just a second ago, just like that, this is a long vowel, this is dhalik, this is a short vowel, this is dhalik. Next, the example I have done is with the short vowel kasra. I have placed a kasra below the letter fa. And I have associated the letter fa in the next one with the long vowel, the letter ya. This is the letter ya. This is the letter fa and then the letter ya. But in this one, I have placed the short vowel, the kasra, below the letter fa. So when you place the letter and you place a short vowel below the letter fa, this is fi. This is pronounced fi. But when you replace that short vowel, and if it was to be written with the long vowel, it would be pronounced fi. This is fi. This is fi. This is fi. 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 Just like we did just a second ago. Hit. Heat. Sit. Seat. Just like that. Fi. 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 So the short vowels are just movements, very quick. The I, the U, the I. I, U, I. But the long vowels are longer. They're U, they're A, they're E. I hope you're starting to understand or hear the difference. Because this is a problem a lot of English speakers, or at least people who are learning to read the Quran, have. When they see the short vowel, when they see the mark, they extend it a little bit. And extending it is a problem because then it becomes a long vowel. And this is not a long vowel. This is a short vowel. So another example that I've done with the letter Fatha is I have attached, or I have placed a Fatha on the letter Va. On the letter Va. But in this letter, in this word, the associated, I have removed the Fatha, the diacritical mark, the Fatha, and I have replaced it with its long vowel cousin, the Alif. If this word was to be pronounced with the Fatha, this word would be volume. This word on the right hand side that you see is volume. Volume. But if it was to be pronounced with the Alif, it would be volume. Volume. This is volume. This is volume. 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 So, a versus a. A versus a. Volume. Volume. Another example I've created is for the letter Ta. On the letter Ta, I have placed the diacritical mark, the Damaa, and I have created its cousin long vowel letter, the Wa, and I've connected it to the letter Ta. And if this word was to be written with the letter Ta with a Damaa on it, this would be pronounced Tur. Tur. طر. But when you replace that diacritical mark, the dhamma, with the letter wa, the long vowel wa, it becomes طور. طور. طر. طور. طر. طور. طر. طور. طر. طور. Just like we did a second ago. Hit, heat, sit, seat, fit, feet, knit, neat. طر. طور. طر. طور. Final one I've created for you is I have placed a diacritical mark, the kasra, below the letter meme over here. And I have created its cousin long vowel, and I have connected to the letter meme. And if this word was to be pronounced with the letter or the diacritical mark kasra, this word would be miqat. 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 But instead, if you replace it with the long vowel ya, it's miqat. Miqat. This is miqat. This is miqat. 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 Now, don't worry if you don't or you don't quite understand how to pronounce these words just yet. This is advanced stuff. But the reason I created this example is because the previous example helped a lot of my ESL learners, English as a second language. Now, you're learning Arabic almost as a second language as well, and it's important that you differentiate the long vowel versus the long or short vowel. So on the right-hand side, I'm going to pronounce these words and with their long vowel equivalent, and this time I'm going to do it a little bit quickly. Nuh. Nuh. ذلك. ذلك. في. ظلم. ظالم. طر. طور. مقات. ميقات. So I hope you're starting to hear the difference, that the short vowels are just quick movements, whereas the long vowels are longer. Don't worry if you don't know how to pronounce these words. I'm not going to put this on the self-test. If you don't know the difference, or if you don't know your long vowels yet, don't worry. We will get into the long vowels later. An entire lesson is going to be devoted to the long vowels and how to pronounce them and how they're written. An entire lesson is coming up. But I just want you to know the difference, that the short vowels are just a quick movement, whereas the long vowels they're longer. So they're almost like equivalent to two movements. So نح نوح ذلك ذلك في ظلم ظالم طر طور مقات ميقات. These words will at least give you a little bit of a sound of the difference between the two. And the reason I decided to place in here is because English speakers specifically have a lot of trouble. And just like non-native speakers of English have a lot of trouble with these words, bit, beat, sit, seat, hit, heat, they pronounce them identically, but they're not. Just like that, the short vowels should not be pronounced like the long vowels. The short vowels are movements, whereas the long vowels are equivalent to two, are double movements. I hope you're starting to get the difference. Okay. Next, I wanted to get you into the introduction to spelling, or how to do spelling. In English, I'm going to give you a contrast between how to do a spelling in English versus a spelling in Arabic language. So here are some multi-syllable words, and here's how we spell them. In the English language, this is how you would do them, right? You would say V is a consonant, and then E is a, well, actually, you wouldn't go into that much detail when you're a child. You'd just say V-E, ve, G-E-G, T-A-B, tab, L-E-S-less, vegetabless, vegetabless, vegetables. This word is vegetables. Okay. Moving on. Spelling. Any. N-Y-N-E. Any. B-O, boo. Anyboo. D-Y-D. Anybody. 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 This word is anybody. Oh, okay. This word is anybody. So notice how I combined vowels with consonants to make syllables, and I combined syllables to make a word. Next, we have niag. Oh, this is a G, and in between a G and an I and an H, the G is silent, so this is ni. Ni. Okay, ni. Bo. B-O, bo. Okay, ni bo. Ni bor. Oh, okay. Ni bor. B-O-R, bor. The next vowel is, I'm sorry, the next syllable is bor. Ni bor. H-O-O-D. Hood. Ni bor hood. Neighborhood. 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 This word is neighborhood. Okay? Good. Next. D-I-S. Dis. D-I-S. Dis. Oh, dis. Okay? C-O-V-E. Cove. Okay, cove. Discove. Discove. R-Y-Re. Discovery. 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 Oh, okay. This word is the word discovery. Next. P-R-I. Pry. Pry. Okay. V-A. Ve. Ve. Pry. Ve. C-Y. C. Pry. Ve. C. Privacy. 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 The word is privacy. Okay? So notice how I combined consonants and letters and vowels, consonants and vowels to make syllables, and then I combined the syllables to make words. This is how you do spelling in the English language, correct? We're going to learn, and this is extra credit. I'm giving you an introduction. So this is extra credit, but we were going to do a lot more detail on how to do hijjah. We've already done how to recognize letters in the Arabic language. We're starting to learn how to recognize diacritical marks. But when we go into and al-hijjah means to spell things out in the Arabic language. When we go into details of how to combine letters and diacritical marks to make syllables, then we're going to combine diacritical marks and letters to make syllables, and then we're going to combine syllables to make words, and eventually words to combine to make sentences, and then sentences will combine to make meaning, and meaning makes language. Okay? So I'm going to put this in the extra credit in the self-test, but recognizing letters we already did. This is all about section 1. Section 2, we're starting to recognize and pronounce the diacritical marks. When we combine letters and these diacritical marks, we're going to start to learn to do hijjah, learn to spell the Arabic. And when we combine letters and diacritical marks, we'll make syllables. And combining syllables, we will make words. We will do hijjah. And that's how you will start to read the Quran on your own. We're going to combine syllables to make words, and then words to make sentences, and then we're going to combine sentences to make meaning. And meaning is language. Okay. The exercises for this video today. Now, it might have been a rather lengthy video, I don't know, but I'm glad I did this one in a little bit of detail. That's important. I want you to, and I'm going to upload this in a separate exercise. Now, I want you to do the Qaida Nuraniya exercise, Huruf al-Muharrika. The Huruf al-Muharrika exercise I'll upload, just like I did with the previous lesson video. I will upload another exercise video for Qaida Nuraniya. And how to do the exercise in Qaida Nuraniya, Huruf al-Muharrika, which I believe is the third chapter in Qaida Nuraniya. And I will show you how to do that. And this is exercise you should watch the video and you should do on your own. Next, another exercise that I want you to do is I want you to open the Quran to the first chapter, which is Surah Al-Fatiha. And I want you to find the 3 diacritical marks that we learned today and say them just like we said them today. So if you recognize a letter, and you should be watching the previous videos. In the previous video, I showed you how to recognize letters in compound format. You're going to recognize the letter, and then you're going to recognize if it has a fatha on it, or dhamma, or a kasra on it. And then you're going to say, for example, if you find the letter lam, and you see a fatha on it, you're going to say lam maftuha. And then you're going to want to the next letter to recognize ha. Oh, this is a ha, and this is a fatha on it. Ha maftuha. Then it's meme, but the meme you're gonna find maybe it has a diacritical mark that you haven't learned on it, so you're gonna skip that one. Next, you're gonna find maybe a dal, and on the dal there is a dhamma. Dal with a dhamma becomes dal madmuma. So you're going to specifically say this is dal madmuma. And you're going to then make the sound, meaning do. Dal madmuma, do. Ha maftuha ha, lam maftuha la. You're going to specifically recognize the letter, point it, say the letter name, say whether it's maftuha, madmuma, maksura, and then you're going to say the sound of what it sounds like. So I will exercise a separate exercise. I will upload a separate exercise video for this one as well. And this I want you to do. I want you to start getting used to opening the Quran on your own, opening it and doing it yourself. Finally, the third exercise I want you to do is I really want you to watch this video. Don't worry if you can't copy this this URL down. I will place a link to this video in the description, and I will probably add a marker in the video itself, a link. I'll place the video link on this video itself. This is a very long, very not long, but very interesting song video somebody did on the three movement marks and their and their sounds via song, and that song is very catchy, very, very, very catchy. So I want you to listen to that song. It has no music in it, don't worry, but that song is very catchy, and it'll help you notice the differences between the sounds of the long vowels and the short vowels. In conclusion, what did we learn today? We learned the 3 diacritical marks, the dhamma, the fatha, the kasra, and when a letter has a dhamma on it, it's madmuma. When a letter has a fatha on it, it's maftuha. When a letter has a kasra on it, it's maksura. In the next lesson, we're going to go into tanween and what that means. This is the next diacritical mark that we're going to learn. Don't worry if you don't know what tanween is, but we're going to go into the next lesson. We're going to go into detail on tanween. In the self-test. In the self-test, I'm going to require you, just go back in this slide deck. I will place the link to the slide deck in the description below as well. Go back to the slide deck. You will be required to recognize all marks and their 3 associated sounds in all letters that you learned today. So just like I did in row format and in column format, you will be required to, in the self-tester, if you're going to take the self-test with somebody who knows how to do it, I'll place a link to the self-test document in the video below. You're going to go into the self-tester and you're going to, just like I did in this video, al hamza maftuha a, hamza maftuha u, hamza madmuma u, hamza maksura I, a u I, everything like that that I did today. You're going to need to do it as part of the self-test because this is important. So that's going to be detailed, and pretty much the entire self-test, almost most of the self-test, I'm going to say, is going to rely heavily on doing this, basically recognizing the marks, recognizing if it's maftuha, madmuma, maksura, and making the sound. And finally, if you like this video, go ahead, give me a like below. If you have any questions, comments, and concerns, put them below or give me a message. If you would like to see additional videos like this one, please subscribe. And finally, if you think that might be beneficial for your friends or somebody who is just learning Arabic, go ahead, share this video. Jazakallah khair for watching. I will see you next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.